It's the week of the draft. The offseason is in full swing. Giannis not yet traded, but is this the last time we're going to talk about a Giannis trade? God, I am praying so. And we also got a trade like 20 minutes ago that just went down. I think a very interesting one. We're talking with Marc Stein today on the All NBA Show. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA Show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/AllCity. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Marc Stein of the Stein Line Substack, which you should be subscribed to if you're not already. You can also catch him on the DLLS Mavs, a post-game show. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I hope it was a great day, and happy Father's Day to you, Marc Stein.
Thank you, Adam Mares. I hope you had a good one with your family. It is a little chaotic to have Father's Day in the NBA these days.
There's some holidays that are so tough for a person covering the NBA. Christmas Day, for example.
I mean, not just covering the NBA, working in the NBA. Like, it's funny. Jake Fisher actually led his piece late last night with this. We've been doing late night pieces every day this week. And Jake actually wrote about how in the old days when the draft was all on one day on Thursday, that front offices could pretty much enjoy Father's Day before they all went back to work on Monday and crammed for those last 3 days before the draft. But this year, the draft is Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
There's a suspicion that was intended to avoid a conflict with the World Cup on Thursday. But the United States playing Turkey on Thursday, that game is now meaningless because the United States has won its group, so
we're too good.
The draft. This is a soccer playing country, and so the draft is Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's on, man. It is going to be an active couple weeks.
You were mentioning Father's Day. I actually went up to the mountains with the family, got a cabin. You'll appreciate this quick story. I walked out of my apartment going to my car, or out of the cabin going to my car. I came with about 10 feet of a black bear, getting into the trash at my Airbnb. None the wiser either. Just walked right into it, face to face, and it ran off. So I had a very eventful weekend. It's kind of a great story. Everything happened too quick for me to be actually scared about it.
The bear was scared of you.
Come on, man. Look at me. Ran right away. Didn't want the smoke.
You're like 6'5", 6'6", right?
Yeah, right in there. But it was pretty cool. Probably the closest I've ever come to a bear in the wild. So an eventful Father's Day weekend. Yeah, neither here nor there. I want to start. We're going to talk Giannis here in this first segment, but I want to get to the trade that just came down the wire maybe less than an hour ago, and that is that the Oklahoma City Thunder have sent out Aaron Wiggins to the Atlanta Hawks for 2 second-round picks. Atlanta's 2030, and the least favorable of the Hawks or the Lakers in 2032. You know, this trade is so interesting because part of me wonders, the Thunder have so many good players that I think on most teams, Wiggins would be like a top 4 or 5 guard. On their team, they have a luxury of guards. They have an overload of guards, and so they can afford to lose him. And so I wonder if value got depressed because of that, because
it got depressed because the Thunder have 15 players under contract for next season. And as we speak, they've got 2 first-round picks, 12 and 17, in Tuesday night's first round. Now, they might not have 2 first-round picks by the time the draft actually rolls around. Right. The Thunder had been painted by a lot of people around the league as a team you have to watch for a possible trade up. And then Sam Presti did his annual marathon postseason sum it all up press conference. And Sam Presti himself said, we always try to trade up in every draft every year. So he's not even trying to hide that fact. But if the Thunder find themselves wanting to draft and keep 12 and 17, they'd have to move 2 players off the roster. So Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, it's been anticipated for some time that neither one is going to be back. Of course, the Thunder being the Thunder, they've still managed to get some second-round draft capital out of this. And Isaiah Joe, he's been talked about as one of the players Detroit is interested in because we know Detroit wants to add playmaking and shooting to a 60-win team. The Pistons have expressed interest in Kyrie Irving. Dallas is telling teams Kyrie Irving's not available. The Pistons have expressed interest in Trey Murphy, but so have a zillion other teams. And New Orleans' threshold for trading Trey Murphy away is really, really high. So the Pistons have looked at other targets. Tyler Hero, if he ends up going to Milwaukee in a Giannis trade, we reported that Thursday night. We revealed that the Pistons have interest in Tyler Hero, but they're also looking at guys like Kobe White and Isaiah Joe because they're presumably easier to acquire
for sure
than Kyrie Irving or Trey Murphy. Kyrie Irving isn't even available right now. So we knew Oklahoma City was going to have to move Wiggins and probably Isaiah Joe. And look, we got to keep our eye on Lou Dort.
Right.
The Thunder, one of the options of many that the Thunder have is picking up Dort's team option at $17 million and change and then trading him. We have to see if that comes to fruition, or would SGA, who's Dort is his countryman, Dort has been a member of the Thunder as long as SGA. We assume that SGA would not be thrilled to see his countryman depart, but it would probably make things easier for the Thunder to get Isaiah Hartenstein re-signed on a new deal if they moved off his money too. So the Thunder, they are going to be in the heart of it. This is not at all the last move we will see from the Thunder.
Well, as a small note to the Wiggins deal, he's also Shea's countryman, right? So you already have one countryman out the door, maybe possibly a second. Would it be fair to say, I think Giannis is the big domino, the first one to fall the big...
Not the first one to fall, but the one everybody wants to fall. I mean, the one thing that's unanimous when you talk to people is everybody, it's not just us in the basketball public. It's all the teams too. Everybody wants this to be over, man. I mean, it has been...
I'm so sick of it.
I'm sorry. Even though I'm talking, I am listening intently. I promise you.
Yeah, we get it. We get it, man. At any moment, something comes through for you, which would be exciting.
Look, this thing has been... It's been 13 months. We've been on Giannis watch since last May's draft combine in Chicago.
Yep.
So you are not alone in wish casting this thing to be over.
But I was going to ask if, the Giannis, okay, maybe not the first domino, but a big domino, right? A lot of things. I'm sure a lot of teams are waiting to see which direction that breaks and what's available. But is it fair, the way you were describing it, is it fair to say that Oklahoma City is also one of these big dominoes, that they also can influence the market because of how many options they have and how many different directions they can go?
I think in the draft especially, do they move up? Do they just keep 12 and trade 17? And that's, look, there's intrigue at the top of the draft because I think the expectation is still that Dibonsa is going to be the one that the Wizards pick, but they are considering Peterson. They have not internally decided, or if they have, they certainly haven't revealed it. So even at number 1, there is still some mystery. Now, will we know by Tuesday night? Will we know before the draft actually starts if it is going to be Dibonsa, or do they just take the mystery all the way into number 1? But so we got some intrigue at the top. We got the Clippers at 5. What do? Do they keep the pick, or do they trade out of that pick? But then after all those guards, there are so many good guards projected to go in the 5 to 10 range, but then there are a lot of big men of interest from anywhere from 8 to 15. So really the top half of the lottery, the top half of the draft, there are so many things that can happen. And I do think the Thunder are right in the middle of that because they have those 2 picks and they are capable, by their own admission, capable of anything.
Well, I want to ask about this since we're getting into it right now. The number 1 pick, Washington, it sounded like Dibonsa was, okay, that's it. Let's see where everybody else goes. But there has been a lot of movement lately. Peterson only worked out for him. He was not going to work out for Utah or anybody else. What do you make of this? And to me, it just seems like this is Washington trying to send mixed signals. They probably know what they want, but they want the market to at least react to. Maybe they don't. Maybe it opens up a trade back and get your guy scenario.
I don't think this is for trade purposes, because I don't see who in the top 4 is really trading up. Utah has tried to signal that they will be good with whoever slips to them at number 2. Now, when the lottery happened on May 10th, Jake Fisher, my writing partner, was actually in the lottery room, and he spoke to both the Wizards and the Jazz, and both teams told him face to face, we will listen to anything, we will consider anything, we are not locked into anything. So the Wizards were basically saying then that they were willing to trade down if the right offer came in, but I'm certainly not expecting that. I mean, again, DeBonsa is the safe choice for Washington, and maybe at the end of the day, they just say, you know what, let's make the safe choice. We can't get this wrong. But pretty much any draft, when you consult the people who really work the draft, study the draft, and that's all they do, that's what they cover all year round. Like, I think DeBonsa is still the name you'll find at the top of most mock drafts, and maybe even most teams' mock drafts. But you hear so many people say Peterson has the highest ceiling. Peterson has the chance to be the best pro. So the Wizards really do have to weigh that and ultimately decide what they're going to do. But my sense is the Wizards are loving this. They love the confusion. And I saw an interview with Michael Winger. He did local TV in Washington, and I think his description was, it's a peaceful place to have the number 1 pick, because when you have the number 1 pick, you don't have to wait to see what it like. Utah has to work out all the contingencies. What happens if DeBonsa goes 1 or if Peterson goes 1? But when you have number 1, you don't have to do that. So, but look, draft night is going to be great. I mean,
it is going to be great. I actually think this is going to be a very fun draft because of what you just said. There's mystery in every segment of it. In the top 4, in the middle, after 5 through 13, there's mystery. Later on, what are teams going to do? I think there's a lot of teams in the back half of the draft that are probably looking for any possible outs to move up, back, or completely out of the draft. So I agree with you. I actually think this year's draft is going to see more action, more fireworks than usual.
Are you a fan of the 2-day draft?
You know what? I think I am, because the first round of the draft is so important, and the second round almost feels it's significantly less of an event. But I like that you get to catch your breath before having to go to that. And then as a reporter, I remember when back when we did the 2 rounds, you had to wait so long, sometimes till midnight, to hear from the teams. I like that you can just get done, with the first round and then hear from everybody.
I'm a massive fan of the 2-day draft. I love the 2-day draft. I'm surprised that I hear so many people don't. Like, even the first comment I see in chat, I'm not a huge fan of the 2-day draft. I truly don't understand that. Like, split it up into 2 days. Let the second rounders have their shine also. It gives teams a chance to strategize from one day to the next.
That's true.
It creates a layer of trade talk. Like, and also after the second round, you have the array of guys who are making summer league commitments and 2-way contract commitments. There's plenty going on day 2 with all the second round picks. And being in Dallas, what a big deal it was that last year Ryan Nebhard isn't drafted, but the Mavs secure him right after the draft on a 2-way deal. And he ended up being a really important rookie for them. So you can tell me in chat why you don't like the 2-day draft, but I'm amazed how much opposition I read and hear and see about it.
The point you made, though, about teams being able to strategize, I think I hadn't really considered that, but I do think there's something to it. You get there's so much that happens when you're drafting a player, and then all these trades happen. Giving an organization a chance, or all the organizations a chance to kind of reread the market after round 1, I think makes for more compelling storylines going into round 2. But the Hawks, they also got C.J. McCollum, signed him back to a 1-year deal. Obviously,
had a great run. Like that deal. C.J. McCollum was a huge difference maker for them. And to be able to get him on a 1-year deal, $21 million.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good business.
We'll see how good they are, this upcoming year. They were one of the more exciting teams after the All-Star break, all the way into the playoffs, so they have a little bit of momentum. Let's go to our top story, though, which is Giannis. And I asked you before we went live, I said the Giannis, I don't know, we don't have a name for it, but this Giannis trade limbo, purgatory that we've been in now for, to your point, a year plus. I think it's actually been more like 2 years because the writing's been on the wall for a while. It is by far the most drawn out trade that I think we've ever seen. I remember the melodrama back in 2010, 2011, when that took half a season and it felt unbearable how long and drawn out it was. Now, a player has a 3-4 month trade demand that strings out that long. That's fast. I feel like this Giannis one stands alone now in terms of a topic we've been talking about for so long, and yet still nothing has happened. And obviously, I feel like something will happen in the next 48 hours.
Well, when I say 13 months, I think that's 13 consecutive months since last May, the previous May's draft combine. If you go through Giannis's whole career, there's obviously been multiple points where his future in Milwaukee was questioned, but they traded for Drew Holiday. He signed a contract extension, won a championship. They traded for Damian Lillard. He signed another contract extension. But part of the reason this has dragged on so long is because he doesn't make an outright trade demand. This is not Jimmy Butler redux, where Jimmy Butler is like, I am out of here. Get me out of here. Like, this is, Giannis, he doesn't force his way out all the way. That's part of the reason why this is played out the way it has. But look, when you talk to people around the league tonight, every team I talk to, they're expecting it soon to, soon, however you want to define soon. The Bucks themselves, their co-owner, Jimmy Haslam, early May, they're introducing Taylor Jenkins as their new coach. Nobody is pressing the Bucks for a deadline. Jimmy Haslam is the one who established the draft as the deadline. And the whole league has operated from that perspective that the Bucks are going to do this before the draft. And we know that the Bucks really want an additional lottery pick in this draft that everyone says is so much deeper than usual. They have number 10 for themselves. If they do the deal with Miami, they'll have number 13 from the Heat. If they do the deal with Boston, Boston only has number 27 right now. I'm pretty sure the Bucks are looking to be higher on the board than that. So I think that's a factor that works in Miami's favor. But the Bucks, when you talk to people around the league, when you talk to other teams, when you talk to agents, the Bucks have been operating as though we're going to have 2 lottery picks at least in this draft. That's the way they've been talking. And so that's another factor that has fueled the notion that this has to happen before Tuesday night.
So this is my read on the situation. Everything is about the Miami option. Everything you hear, and it's been that way for a while. And then it's, yes, these other teams, Celtics, Minnesota. But it seems a little too heavy-handed in the way that I have a hard time buying this Miami offer that keeps being rumored and floated out there. So much so that it feels to me like
what part don't you buy?
It doesn't seem like the best deal. It just doesn't seem like a deal. If I'm Milwaukee, I walk away from that excited about it. And it seems to me like what happens often is there is a leading team, a loudest team. Everybody knows Miami is a player. And so everything that comes out is about that to try to raise the price for the people that are going to actually make the strongest offers. Again, that's just my read. This is not like a sourced opinion, but it just seems like the Miami thing feels like it has more traction than it actually does. And I'm just curious what you think about it.
Well, the reason I would push back on that, look, Miami can give them the 13 pick, which they clear. That is a good pick. It's not 5, it's not 6, it's not 2, it's not 8, but it's a pretty damn good pick. It's a lottery pick in this draft that scouts are crazy for. So the Bucks would have 10 and 13. Also, you're getting Kel'el Ware who is an on-the-rise prospect, but you're also getting Hero, who by all accounts is going to have a trade market to increase your haul of future assets, or Hero is from Milwaukee, and maybe the Bucks decide, you know what?
Yeah, let's
keep the Milwaukee native and let's keep him to the deadline and see what kind of trade market there is. So the Miami offer to this point is the one we know that can check multiple boxes. Now, maybe there is we have, I mean, this is the NBA and this saga has lasted for more than a year. So of course we have to leave open the possibility that some mystery team emerges that we're not aware of, that hasn't been written about, that is prepared to furnish Milwaukee with a bunch of stuff they want. I mean, I'm always going to keep that door open until it's done. But here's the other thing too. Milwaukee invited all these teams to make offers at the trade deadline. All of a sudden, a week to 10 days before the trade deadline, the Bucks abruptly said, okay, you know what? We are open for business. Make your offers. You had Miami, Golden State, and Minnesota really pushing hard for a deal. And then the Bucks slammed the door shut and said, no, we're not trading him. We'll revisit this in the summer. And everybody came away thinking the Bucks were never serious about trading him. They were just doing this for intel to get a sense of what would be out there in the summer. But the word then was the Bucks really believed that the summer market was going to be more robust.
Right.
And it has not been more robust. They are not getting inundated with offers. And look, part of the reason is, as great as Giannis is, we're talking about a 2-time MVP who scored 50 points in a finals championship clinching closeout game. But he's 31. He has not been past the first round of the playoffs since 2022. Yeah. And he's had injury issues for the last 2-3 postseasons in a row. And so that's all going to factor into the kind of offers Milwaukee can command.
I'm just going to go on record saying I don't worry about Giannis's health. I mean, you worry about all players' health in this new NBA. It's hard to make it through 82 games, but those things to me just don't scare me, and I wonder how much they scare other NBA front offices.
Calf injuries, leg injuries, I think they have to give you some level of pause because you look at Giannis and he's...
Yeah, it's not like he can slim down or something, get in better shape. He's in great shape.
He's as imposing a figure. He's the Greek freak. I mean, that's the kind of athlete he is, that he's known for being. So the injury history, I don't know how a team does not even, you have to weigh that in. And in recent years, he's become more of a bruising type inside player. And so I think teams do ask that question of how these injuries have affected him and will affect him in future years.
Do you, just to put you on I never put you on the spot like this, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you think it gets done in the next 48 hours before the draft?
I mean, if you force me to make a choice, yes. But do I?
I mean, of course you don't know.
I just can't give you a guarantee, but I'm really taking my cues from every team I talk to, and every team I talk to and every agent I talk to, I ask them, is this getting done before the draft? And the answer comes back yes every time. So that's really who I'm taking my cues from.
Well, I hope it gets done. We've talked about Giannis. I mean, honestly, you and I together on the show, we've been doing the show together 2 seasons now. I think we've talked about Giannis trades maybe 14 or 15 times. So I hope that the next time we're talking about Giannis trades, it's looking back at the trade that happened and analyzing it going forward.
Yes, analyzing the fit with his team.
And what else might come from it. All right, we got to take our first break, though. We're going to come back on the other side after this break, and we are going to talk about the Wizards. Not just the first pick, but also Trae Young, Anthony Davis, what's going on there. And then the Knicks. Dolan comes out at the parade or the parade day and says they're not going to be a second apron team. What does that mean? We'll get to that on the other side. Right now, I want to tell you guys about Underdog. The World Cup has been awesome. I know my guy Stein is enjoying the World Cup, man. It has been a lot of fun. Even me, a soccer hater, I have gotten into it now that Team USA is good. It's all it took. I had to be into it because of that. You can hop on Underdog because playing on Underdog is easy. You just pick whether your favorite player will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, more, or if you're doing soccer, goals. You get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Download the app and use the promo code ALLNBA. Very important that you use our code ALLNBA, all one word. Score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code ALLNBA. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, or Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or 1-800-GAMBLER, or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. I also want to tell you guys about Kalshi. Right now, the offseason is here. Summer League is only 3 weeks away. I haven't even booked my trip yet, and I see it's right there. On Kalshi, you can trade every single playoff game, every series, the conference finals, and the championship. Right now, Giannis' next team is trading on Kalshi. Miami, 61%. I feel like fading that personally because what I just explained in segment 1. Boston, 30%. Stay with Milwaukee, 10%. Everything else basically off the board. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house, and the probabilities change. You can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code ALLNBA to get $10 when you trade 10, K-A-L-S-H-I, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. All right, back here, segment 2 with Marc Stein. No Atticus today. He was a late scratch. An illness comes through, so no producer Atticus for us. But Marc,
that's not good for the ball club. We're holding it together.
We're struggling over here. Player-coach going on. A player-coach situation here. If you're new to this channel, by the way, make sure you're subscribed. Me and Tim Legler are doing this 2 times a week. Me and Marc Stein once a week. And then, of course, the great Jason Timpf with me once a week as well. And the offseason, we still have another month of big-time topics coming up. Let's go to the Wizards, though. So the number 1 pick's fascinating, what they do with that.
I'm putting you on the spot. Who you taking?
So my favorite players in this draft, I love De'Aaron Peterson. He's by far my number 1 talent. But, some of the other stuff, the injury stuff has me concerned. I think Boozer I like a lot. He would be my number 1. Peterson second. DeBanza, I'm just lower on, and a lot of smart people love him. I know the chat loves DeBanza. We've talked about him before, but there's something about his game I just don't like, and so he's lower on my board. Do you have a preference? Do you do this type of thing?
I've been a DeBanza guy the whole season, but it's interesting because Michael Winger he's done a slew of interviews in advance of this draft, so I can't remember exactly where he said this, but he said something, and Sam Vecini had it in his mock draft, something to the effect of, we really want a leader. And just when he brought the leadership component up, it made me think, there's been no talk of them considering Boozer, really. But, I don't know, it seemed like more he was describing Boozer.
Yeah.
But, again, if you force me to choose, I'm expecting DeBanza, but I've had enough people in the last week who study the draft, who report, I'm this time of year, I am completely focused on trades involving veterans and free agency ahead. I am, it's one of the reasons I love Jake Fisher partnering with me, because Jake is a draft guy and he's excellent on the draft, and he really covers the draft for me because I've just never had the bandwidth for it.
Is he a DeBanza guy?
But it's funny. I actually haven't really tried to pin him down on who his number 1 pick would be, but I've talked to so many people in that sphere in the last few days who say Washington really is giving this one last long look to make sure, because again, DeBanza is the far safer pick given all the injury issues and availability issues that Peterson had last season. But if Peterson really has the higher ceiling, then it's a tougher pick than it sounds.
Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, like I said, I think from talking to my sources around the league, it does feel like there are a lot of teams that have had to build more contingency plans than ever. And I don't just mean this with the first pick. I think that's a special example. But as we were talking about, it seems like a lot of teams could break multiple different ways. You go through the draft, typically there's 30 teams, and maybe there's 6 or 7 of them that are a mystery at most, at these spots. Mostly it seems like people know what other teams are doing. But the sense I get is that there's a little bit more well, this team could pivot this way, they could pivot that way. Maybe it's a reflection of the new CBA and how quickly everything's changing, but that's the sense I get. Do you get that same sense that there's more, not big scale mystery, but small mystery, and so teams have to build in more contingency plans?
Well, look, the guards, there's tons of, we really don't know. The Clippers, all of that really starts with the Clippers, because the Wizards are going to make their pick, and 2, 3, and 4 should slot in, pretty obviously after we learn what direction the Wizards choose. But whether the Clippers keep or trade that pick, and then the order of the guards and how they move, I mean, you hear a different projection on that stuff every single day. It's Mikal Brown. No, it's Burries. No, right. It's Akon. It's just, so that stuff is moving. And then, all the bigs after that, could a big man like Mara, could he go as high as 8? Would Atlanta really do something like that? So that's why I say it really is going to be, Tuesday should be great. Yeah. And I think, and again, even the second round, a Wednesday in June, and we're going to have a whole second round, and there will be more trades. Why not soak it up?
I'm still processing the finals, but here we are, moving on to 2027 season. Let's talk about the Wizards, because not only do they have that first pick, they also have Trae Young, who has opted out of his player option, and they have Anthony Davis, who it seems like there's some signals about he would like or welcome to be moved. What's the latest there? What are the Wizards doing?
Well, we've been reporting since March that Trae Young is going to stay with the Wiz, that it's probably going to be a 3-year deal. I have not heard anything really to change my opinion there, but there have been rumbles in the last week that he might get some external interest. And his option deadline is actually Tuesday, the day of the draft, is when he officially has to make that decision. Most options most player options and team options in deals are a June 29th thing, the last day before free agency starts. Trae Young's option is June 23rd. He's been mentioned. This was another Jake Fisher story earlier this week, that he would be on Miami's list of backup options along with Kawhi Leonard if they aren't able to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it's interesting, when Atlanta decided in the middle of the season that they were trading Trae Young away, there was no market for him. He was the face of their franchise, and the Hawks traded him for CJ McCollum's expiring contract and Corey Kispert's team-friendly contract, and that's it. No picks. But now there is a belief in some corners that Young actually has a better market now, even though he didn't play this whole season, played 5 games.
That's insane.
But I think one of the reasons for that, though, is nobody wants to be in the absolute bottom 3 because they don't want to end up in that draft relegation zone. So even teams that are projected to be bad, they don't want to be really, really, really bad because you don't want to end up in that bottom 3. But I think far more likely than not that Trae Young stays with the Wizards. Anthony Davis, there's always been a presumption that he's going to get traded. And I think, he did not play 1 second for the Wizards after the trade in February from Dallas. But, this past week, the Wizards came out and said, no, AD wants to stay. They're certainly talking like they're going to keep him. But is that just posturing? Are they trying to build a trade market for Anthony Davis by saying that? I think we're going to get our answers there in the next week or 2.
You referenced something that I think is very interesting indirectly, which is that Miami might look at Trae Young as a backup plan. And I keep thinking about this a lot. Miami does seem like a team that if they don't get Giannis, if somebody outbids them, they have set themselves up to make moves. And so I imagine that their contingency plan might affect the market as much as anything else. And so I've been thinking about that a lot. And you just mentioned Trae Young. I can think of a host of players. If you miss out on Giannis, he goes somewhere else. You're almost done with this big name star hunting. I don't know if you just punt for a whole year. So do you feel like that could be one of the big dominoes in this offseason? Their contingency plan. If
Kawhi, we have to determine first, are the Clippers keeping Kawhi Leonard, or are they going to field trade interest in him? Memphis is still trying to trade Ja Morant. They haven't generated much of a market for him, but Memphis is going to try again there. And then Trae Young, like I said, I expect him to stay with the Wizards, but theoretically, he could be in play. Theoretically. So that's the thing. I think once we get past this whole Giannis saga, assuming we get past it, there are so many teams that have to make moves. Like, we've talked about this many times. Free agency is not what it was. Free agency itself is not a bonanza. There just isn't a lot of cap space out there. But trade activity and the prospect of shuffling and big roster changes, it's out there.
To me, it's one of the more fascinating ways this offseason could break, or this next 48 hours. If Miami doesn't get Giannis, how many other teams throw their hat in the ring for a Miami trade? What does Miami do? And you mentioned Kawhi. That one makes a lot of sense, too, if the Clippers are willing to play ball. But then you do get to players like Trae and a host full of others that I just wonder. I mean, you were talking about Trey Murphy. Just like, what happens if Miami strikes out on their go-to plan? Does it throw the market out of whack for everybody else because suddenly they have all their tradable assets that they have to or want to use elsewhere? It's an interesting thought. The last one I have for you, Mark, though, James Dolan, fresh off of a championship, said what most owners have either said or publicly or have signaled privately, which is that he does not want to go into the second apron. That means that this championship-winning team is likely to make some major moves. Mitchell Robinson, maybe not back for the team next year. Landry Shamet, maybe not back with the team. So fresh off of a championship, this huge championship, even Dolan is saying second apron comes for everybody. What do you make of that? And what is going to be the fallout of that if they try to get below the second apron?
Here's the thing. He said it, but I'm just not sure how much I buy it. How binding of a statement? How binding of a statement is it really? The Knicks have Brock Aller there. He's one of the best strategists in terms of how to structure payroll. And look, there are ways to go into the second apron, but then get out of it the following season. I mean, look, Landry Shamet is going to get external interest. Mitchell Robinson is definitely going to get external interest. There are not a lot of centers out there, and teams want to be big again. I mean, we know the Lakers need a center, and they're not alone. Boston is looking at they want to add more size to their front court. So I think I'm not expecting that to be a statement that is that the Knicks necessarily adhered to as an ironclad statement, but he probably should have. I mean, he didn't need to say that. Like, it's just like classic Dolan. Just say, we will do everything in our power to bring back as much of the championship team as we can. You just say it like that.
But. Yeah, totally. We're committed to winning. I think nothing that's said at a parade or really within like 72 hours after winning a championship, none of it would hold up in court. It's not admissible because people are just feeling the vibes and say whatever. That's my take on it. We have a couple super chats here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Jay Money, he says, Giannis to Blazers sounds fun with Denny, Dame, and Drew. I like this one because he's not saying it will happen. It's just, it sounds fun.
Well, there was a time earlier in the spring that the Blazers were sending out signals that they wanted to trade for Giannis themselves and weren't even going to worry about, well, can we get his commitment on a long-term extension? Because once a trade goes through, 6 months from that date, you can extend Giannis. If Giannis were to stay in Milwaukee, he's extension eligible on October 1st. If he's traded, it's 6 months from the day the trade goes through. Now, the Blazers have backed off that position. They no longer maintain that position. And because the Blazers hold so much of Milwaukee's draft capital from the Damian Lillard trade, the Blazers are always mentioned in connection with a potential Giannis deal as a potential facilitator. But it's pretty well known at this point that Giannis wants to stay in the East. And
right,
the Blazer, like the Heat and the Celtics are the two teams that have extreme confidence that Giannis will do an extension if he's traded there. I think the Blazers have come to the realization that you can't trade you cannot trade. You cannot give up the assets it would take to trade for Giannis without being sure you can keep the guy.
100%. Here's one that comes in. It's from Fire Mitch Johnson ASAP. Unbelievable. Stein thoughts on Zeke Naji. What a random question. Just, you have thoughts on Zeke Naji? I mean, the Nuggets are rumored, and it makes sense that they want to get off of his money.
It's interesting that if you're Fire Mitch Johnson, you presume that's a Spurs fan. I don't know why. I would have expected your account to ask me a Zeke Naji question. I mean, I've heard the same thing that's out there, that Denver has explored the idea of attaching 26 to move off Zeke Naji's long-term deal. The Nuggets have been trying for ages now to find a way to move that money off the payroll
since they signed him, basically. Yes.
To ease. I mean, look, the Nuggets it's known that they're trying to shed salary to make it easier to match an offer on Peyton Watson, who's a restricted free agent and who they are determined to keep. I reported, I guess it was a week ago, maybe a little bit longer. The Nugget who is generating the most external trade interest, it's Aaron Gordon. Yeah. And now I'm going to turn this over to you. Are you prepared to trade Aaron Gordon?
Well, I'm just going to throw this one up here as well. It wasn't a super chat, but he did ask like 8 times. So Orange Man says, Adam and Stein, there was a report that said Dalen Swain is Denver's trade target, and they will trade up. Is that accurate? And so this kind of plays into it. First of all, I don't think that is accurate, that Denver is like targeting a player like that in the draft and wants to move up to get him. I'm sure it's one of their many, like I said, contingencies. It's an option available to them. What I think Denver is an important player in this draft in one way, which is that I think their top priority, or one of their top priorities, is re-signing Peyton Watson. And they only have so many ways to open up space, and one of those is to attach 26 and get off of it, or to attach 26, to your point, like to a player like Aaron Gordon and maybe move up. So you shed salary and you move up because Aaron Gordon is a positive player. So I would say that I don't think there is anything necessarily to this idea of Denver is trying to get Dalen Swain. I think Denver wants to be able to retain Peyton Watson, and Tuesday is a very important day for their ability. If they don't move that pick, I don't think it's impossible, but I think the most likely option is that Denver will shed salary in some way on Tuesday, or at least make a move that sets the table for that, and that's what I think all of these rumors are about.
How mad are you going to be if they do trade 26 to shed salary?
So last year, you trade away Michael Porter, who's a good player, and include a first-round pick. Denver's just done this too much. My thought on it right now is Denver does not have a great path forward. They have to do something. And the sunk cost fallacy, sometimes you have to give up a pick to get positioned for you to be best. The 26 pick doesn't have a ton of value to me. I'm not optimistic about that player being a huge impact player. There's a great chance that player is never an impact player. So I'm not tied to it, but it would be another first-round pick that Denver traded out to get off of a contract they signed that is not only halfway through. So it would be horrible in that lens, but it might be the best lens.
At least you're laughing.
What else do I have? What else do I have here?
I think there's another. I think I saw another super chat about LeBron. Or
I
about
get
the Lakers.
boards 4 days. Says for Stein, any merit on the Lakers being a part of Giannis's deal somehow?
I have to be honest. Based on what I have heard, I haven't heard that. Like, I know there was all kinds of speculation yesterday. Deal is closed. Deal is happening tonight. Like I have not heard that the Lakers would be part of a Giannis multi-team construction. So
yeah,
maybe I'm not going to say no, it cannot happen because I haven't heard it, but I just got to be candid with you. That one has not crossed my desk.
Well, he is Marc Stein. He is the busiest man this week, in particular, the busiest man in basketball. And the next 48 hours, what is your plan? Are you going to sleep tonight? Like, do you get sleep tonight to really prep up for this week?
You can sleep a little bit, but I do sleep with my phone, so I will be awakened if necessary, hopefully. But hey, like I said, these next 2 weeks are. Yeah. I think they're going to be pretty entertaining. I mean, it has been a slow start to all of this. I mean, if you remember Desmond Bane, that trade materialized on June 15th. What is today? June 21st. We're just dribbling Solstice. To the end of June 21st, and we finally got a trade, and Aaron Wiggins to the Hawks I don't think that is the trade that everybody was hoping would break the seal. So, listen, but like I said, I think between the draft and free agency and all the movement that's going to be in and around it, I think people are going to come away entertained.
Make sure you're subscribed, guys. Check out his Substack, The Stein Line. Check him out on DLLS Mavs. And make sure you're locked to this channel. And by the way, the draft is Tuesday. Have you not studied on the draft yet? We have you covered. My guy, Will Gottlieb, did 5-minute breakdowns of the top 15 prospects in this draft. They're a great way to just power through and get to know everybody. You could spend just a couple hours between now and Tuesday and get to know everybody, or just pick the guys you want to check out. Those are really, really well-made videos. So after this is over, head on over there and check it out, all the different guys, and let us know who's your guy in this draft. For me and Marc Stein, thank you for watching. We'll see you guys on Wednesday with Tim Legler.
We all silly like the mayor.